Let me know once you can see the screen.
Yes.
So in today's class, we are going to learn like a project management and project management with respect to Salesforce. Also, we are going to have an introduction to GitHub, which is a source code management application or software, we can say. So let's start with a brief recap on what we have learned yesterday. So yesterday we have learned why Salesforce, I mean, what is a client server model and how Salesforce is related to this client server model, where you will be having the server somewhere in the cloud, and you will be having access to the server only via means of internet using your mobile, which is treated as a client. So I hope you remember these things. I have also shown explain the example of Facebook, where we will log in through Facebook URL from the browser through internet and access the data or the process which are running in the server. And we also came to know that such group of servers put together forms the cloud. Here we have seen a tradition. I mean, I have shown the example like if suppose the server is hosted in local computers, and somewhere you are accessing from there, and I am here hosting this one server. If my system crashes, then definitely you will not be able to access the data. But in the cloud, that will not be the case, because such servers are like a multiple. So even one goes out of order, by means of others which are actually running, we can still have the access to the servers, the data and the applications on the server. So this is nothing but a cloud computing concept. Also, we have learned a CRM, what is CRM, and why Salesforce is a leading CRM platform. And also we have seen, with respect to customer relationship management, what are the applications or the tools or the features or advantages that have been provided by the Salesforce. So we also seen like a pictorial view of a customer 360, where you are having a multiple tools or clouds, multiple apps or clouds. In means apps and clouds are not different. As I told yesterday, apps are nothing but clouds in terms of a Salesforce, which are inside Salesforce. So we have seen sales cloud, service cloud, marketing cloud, the different clouds in the Salesforce application, which we can use to enhance our customer relationship. Also, we have seen an intro to the Trailhead, which is a Salesforce provided learning platform. And we have seen how to navigate modules, trials, trial mixes, and projects, credentials, that means certification. Also, we have discussed the importance of ranks. Like if you have certain rank, then you'll be getting, you have certain badges and certain points, then you'll be assigned certain ranks by the Salesforce. That will be useful when you go to the interviews, because the rank shows how much time or how much effort you have put into learning the Salesforce in Trailhead platform. Also, we have seen a basic intro to the Salesforce community, Trailhead community, where if you have any queries, questions, concerns, we can post there, and there are a group of users who are actually involved in helping us by means of a community, Trailhead community. Also, we have set up a Trailhead playground. Means we have seen what is the importance of Trailhead playground. So we can create multiple playgrounds, and each playground is individual. Each playground is nothing but a development environment or experimental environment, where we can uh, access the features of Salesforce, but the data will be different in different playgrounds. means when they are created, there will be a same data, but when we create some users, some code, that will not impact the other playground. So that also we have seen, and we have created playground, and also we have what call we have also seen the importance of managing having a different playgrounds, because while we are learning different concepts, so we must have different playgrounds. Okay, so let's start today's topic, project management. I think Pooja, you are most familiar with this project management concepts already.
Yeah, but it's been a year.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So project management concepts are mostly similar when it comes to software or non-software related projects, but there are certain concepts which are foundation to understand how the project progress in Salesforce. So let's start that. Uh, so if you see project management, every project management has some life cycle which we need to follow in order to complete the project. So it's like a framework or set of rules, set of principles, which are step by step, which we need to execute in a way they are designed. So suppose if you see the general life cycle of any project, there will be initiate phase, there will be a planning phase, there will be execution phase. It is not related to software, it is just a project life cycle, how a project has a life cycle which have a step-by-step process. So then once execution is done, you will be monitoring and controlling that project. Once we see the project is being monitored correctly and controllable, then we'll close the project or we will deliver the project. So if you see what happens in the initial phase, we can just see that if you assume it in terms of a software or in terms of a Salesforce, especially, there will be an architect, there will be a project manager, and there will be a client. And in from the client side, there will be a developer, there will be architect, and there will be a project manager from their side also. Those from these both sides, these people involved in getting the requirements. Initiation and planning both are different. So when it comes to initiate, we just get the requirements from the client. Then once we get the requirements, we will we will have a cost, and we'll have a resource discussions in the initiate phase. This is completely about the requirements in terms of functionality, in terms of resources, in terms of cost. But then if we come to the plan, then in the plan there might be involvement of a client, or there might not be involvement of client, because in the initiate phase itself, we have a architect from our company and the project manager and certain developers. They will understand the requirement. Now in the planning phase, we will plan the project, like from where to start, from scratch, or if already if it is an existing project, then or we're going to start with bugs. So that kind of planning will be done in the planning phase. Also we will be uh, resource allocation. Resource planning is different, resource allocation is different. So if we say resource allocation, there are people of 10 people which who are testers, developers, and administrators. So in the planning phase, whatever the requirements we have taken from the initiate phase, those requirements will be distributed according to, if it is an administrative task, then it will be assigned to administrator. If it is a development coding related, then it will be assigned to coders. If it is already existing thing, and if we need to test that, or if we need to fix the bugs, so before fixing the bugs, there need to be a tester from our end also who needs to test this functionality. So in this way, the planning will go. Like it's mostly about the time allocation and resource allocation, you can say. Then execute. Once the resources are allocated with a certain task in the planning phase, then it comes to the execution. So each individual is having their own works or own assigned tasks, own assigned stories. If we talk about the in terms of software, we just say generally tasks are stories. So those stories assigned to individual users, I mean individual employees in your team, they will start working on that. Whether it may be administrative, development, or it might be testing. So these three phases are common for any software project. Either it may be Salesforce or either it may be another project, another different tool. But in the execute phase itself, there will be another phase where we have a testing, and there are like different kinds of testing. We'll come to testing and different kinds of testing phases in the upcoming classes. But for now, you have to assume that in the execute phase itself, development is not only involved. We will also have a testing phase in the execute phase itself, development and testing phase, where we will be testing the functionality that we have developed, not only the bugs or something, some functionality which already got from the requirement. If it is already existing project, if it is scratch, then definitely whatever the we have developed, that we only need to test. So that execute phase you can consider as development and testing. Once this testing is done, now between this execute and monitor phase in the Salesforce, we have another phase called deployment phase. You have to remember the second. In the execute phase, there are three phases. I mean, execute part of the life cycle, there are three phases. They are one, development, then testing. Once testing is done, we have to deploy it. I mean, you can't keep the code which you have developed within yourself. You have to deploy the code into the servers. Then there you have to run your code. So this is deployment phase. So in this execute, when it comes to Salesforce or any software project, these are the three most important things. We can't suggest these three things. These are the most three important things that are involved in the execute phase. So once your code or your application is deployed into the server will run that application continuously. Now it times to monitor and control. Monitor in the sense, when you test the project, you'll test functionality and the coding. But when you are monitoring, so that means your application is live. You may be having users coming continuously. You may be having many requests or many automation codes that are running continuously. That needs to be monitored. There will be log files. We need to monitor each and every log file when it comes to monitor and control phase of the life cycle. I hope these four life cycle stages are clear for you, Rupali and Pooja.
Yes.
Okay.
What is deployment called? Like initiating is something we have to initiate. Planning is
Yeah.
what we are going to do, and execution is something we're going to execute, like
Yes.
the individual. And in that execute, we have again three steps called development, testing, and deployment. Development is what we develop the code, and testing is whether the code works or not. And the deployment means what is the
deployment in the sense, suppose uh, you are developing certain code. Okay.
Yes.
Certain code you have developed, and I mean, you just consider a small concept called you are editing a picture. Okay. You are editing a picture, and the editing will be done in any of the software tool which you have in your PC or the mobile. Once you have edited, you'll just see the features, its function. I mean, even the video or the audio is correct, or something additional lighting is to be done for the video or image or audio. Then once this is done, you will post it, right? You'll post it.
Yes.
The post in the sense you are deploying whatever you have developed, you are deploying.
Okay, got it.
Then once it is deployed, you'll be monitoring. You'll be monitoring the status of the post. So that will be a monitoring. And if you want, you can control, you can delete, you can edit, or you can edit the description. So such kind of things is common for every social media platform. Same you imagine in terms of a software.
All right, perfect.
Okay. Okay. So monitoring and control, I think it's clear. This is the generalized picture or generalized example which I am telling. But when you dig more, then there will be more terminology, more different phases or subphases involved in each of this stage. Okay. Now the thing is closed. Once the project is done, everything is done, and the live monitoring is also done, you will close the project and you will shift to the next project. Means there will be no person involved from our team who is managing or is monitoring that project. The resources are freed now. The team is freed now. You will be delivering the complete application to the client itself. Now the client, it depends on the client whether he want to continuously monitor, continuously test, continuously enhance. Then the client will again come to us and hire certain 1 or 2 people, not all the 10 or 15 people who are involved complete in the project development. They just one tester and one developer continuously engaged with the project which we deliver to the client. Okay, this is something called close. Okay. Now let's see just the common methodologies which are like we just say traditional versus agile. Traditional in the sense, in most of the cases, it is waterfall model and agile model. This we have been seeing since many years, this waterfall, but agile is also since decades, but it is now in the booming, we say, because agile life cycle or agile methodology will be most useful for the software projects especially. Okay. I'll explain the differences. You just assume that the most common methodologies to maintain a project are waterfall and agile. If you see the picture, the waterfall is step by step. Okay, waterfall is step by step. If the water fell down from the top step to the below step, again it will not go to the above step, right? Just you assume. So it is not the steps, it is like a waterfall. So whenever a water flows from the top step 1 to step 2, again it will never go back to the step 1. That is the principle we follow for the waterfall methodology.
Like an irreversible action.
Irreversible action. Whenever you perform or whenever you decide something to do in the initiate phase, then definitely you have to follow the same procedure in the planning phase. Again, there will be no such case where again, okay, I have a certain impediments when planning or when development. Again, I will go to the client. Again, I will take the requirements. That will not be done in case of a waterfall model. When a client assigns you certain task, that task should be analyzed in the initiate phase itself, whether it's possible, whether it's not possible. So basic planning, basic development or basic functionality testing should be done in the initiate phase itself, because once that initiate phase is crossed, you'll be telling the client that there will be a cost effective of $1 million. But when it comes to development, you see that there are many involvement of many resources. Then definitely the cost will increase from 1 to $1.5 million. But that will be not the scenario when it comes to waterfall model. When you commit for $1 million, then definitely you have to follow or you have to stick on to that cost planning itself or cost requirement or resource requirement itself. So this is a waterfall model. Okay. No step can be repeated. I mean, you can't go back to any of the step. When it comes to agile, it's like suppose you took the requirements and you tell them that I will create certain button here called delete button. Okay. And here you create a button called add button. This is the basic requirement which you have taken from the client. Now, when you are going to develop the code, then this kind of button development will be some hectic, or it is a space consuming in the UI. So what you tell, you just tell that there will be A and D, just A and D alphabets displayed on the UI, where you have to play. If you go here, then if you, if you hold your uh, mouse key here, then you will be having a link there, you can navigate. So this type of enhancement you want to achieve, your developers want to do, because your developers are not capable or not that much think that this is effective in the UI. So this is a enhancement. When this enhancement has come in the development and in the execute phase, so in the execute phase it is done, again you can't go back to the initiate phase and take the requirement again do the cost planning. So what you do, on the same day itself, you will be having a client meeting. In the client meeting, you will tell the client that this is what it is happening. So we just have some correction or some mismatch between this whatever you want and whatever we design. So can we go with this? This is what the discussions happen. If the client approves, if the client agrees, then you can go with that. If not, again you have to work on the actual requirement only to implement this one. So this is a continuous discussion. The client will be involved continuously. You'll be having a client meetings, weekly or daily meetings. Those are called Scrum meetings. Daily Scrum or weekly Scrum will be there. Scrum in the sense, I will come to the what is Scrum, what is Kanban next. Just you think that there will be a client involved in every stage of your project, not only in the first phase. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then there comes a question that suppose the client asked to develop certain 4 methods or 4 functions. Now, client comes again in between and asks us to do almost 20 functions, 20 different functionalities. Then that will be not accepted. Okay, that will be not accepted. You can have a discussions, you can have a request coming from the client continuously, you have a request coming from your developers some modifications, that is possible. But if a client wants a complete new change or complete enhanced changes which involves much resources and much time, then that will not be done. Again, for that, definitely there needs to be involvement of your project manager and your architect, and they will have a discussion to increase the time, increase the timeline, or increase the cost, increase the resource. So when these are involved in the client meetings, then that is possible, because you are the developer, but the architect and project manager and from the both sides, the revenue people all have accepted, then you can go ahead with the change. So for all this to happen, there must be a client in a daily call or a weekly call. That is what Agile value or Agile principle, the main Agile principle. Everywhere you have a client involved, there might be a change. Changes are always expected, even from the client or from the developers. Okay. So just a overall picture. If someone asks you, or you just want to remember, in the waterfall, as discussed, it is a well-defined set of requirements. Agile progressively elaborated requirements. Requirements can come in between, as we have seen. Extensive planning and documentation. As there is no in-between changes or in-between requirements, we have to stick on to the perfect planning and perfect documentation in the initial phase itself. So for that, We require extensive planning and extensive documentation. For Agile, it can be iterative planning. Suppose there is a requirement today, your project manager, your developers, your architect will discuss today, and they will be implementing in the next week. So that will be a scenario when it comes to Agile. Single delivery of outcome. Once the outcome is delivered, that will be delivered only in the last stage, and that will be final. But when it comes to Agile, as we have seen, you will deliver certain UI, certain part of the project. You just deliver certain input boxes, or what we call certain buttons, a certain code, and you will deliver in the next week. You will deliver another sprints, and sorry, another tasks, or another stories. We'll come to story time task in terms of Agile. So for now, just you remember that there might be a incremental level. Weekly delivery is also possible, not only after 3 months, after 4 months. Okay. So stakeholder engagement, stakeholder instance, client. In terms of what we discuss now, what we see now in the software projects is, we just say client engagement in planning and at key milestones only important milestones, and in the main planning only the stakeholder is involved. When it comes to Agile, stakeholder is involved throughout the project. Time and cost determined in the planning stage. As I told, it is fixed. Now time and cost defined and refined as requirements are elaborated. As I told now, if a client comes and says us, I want more functionalities, more 15 functionalities, then time will be increased, resources will be increased. If resources are increased, then cost will be increased. This is how it goes. Then project is defined. If certain there are risks, then that should be analyzed in the initial phase only for the waterfall. For the Agile, the can be throughout the project, there might be impediments, there might be risks coming. You have to fix them, you have to discuss with the client. In the last and final, change carefully managed and controlled. If you miss any of the, if you just say, okay, I'll develop today, we'll see next week, that will not be the case in the waterfall model, because if you do any change, that will impact the previous stage and the future stage. So you have to be very careful when you change anything in terms of project for a waterfall model. As you know, in the Agile, it is expected and it is always incorporated during planning and execution cycles. I hope this is clear and very easy to understand. Okay, just in short, I have maintained in one line, quite kind of thing, traditional or waterfall management, no change, please, like that. And Agile project management, changes can be possible. Now, okay, we have discussed this much about the Agile methodologies. So now in the companies, in real-time companies, in software industry, what are the 3 main different kind of methodologies inside this Agile methodology? Means there are different, as you see, in the waterfall is one model and Agile methodology is one model. In over the project and over the companies or software projects that are using these Agile methodologies, we'll have 3 different kinds or 3 different types of opportunities or options to choose from. One is Scrum, one is Lean, and one is Kanban. The most important from these are Scrum and Kanban. If you want, I can say about the Scrum and Kanban. Kanban is more similar to waterfall model, as we said. It will be a daily involvement of client and daily progress, but it believes that we will be delivering the project once in the last, like that. There will be from start to end of the project. But when we come to the Scrum, there is something called sprints. Sprint 1, sprint 2. Sprint in the sense, there is a sprint for one sprint, there will be 2 weeks of time, or some companies will follow 4 weeks of time. So the project is divided into subparts. This part of this project will be done in this sprint. This part of the project, second part of the project will be done in another sprint. So like this, we will be having a sprints or a project which is divided into subparts, and each part will be delivered or executed on one sprint. That is Scrum. And Kanban, we'll be having a daily improvement, or you'll be having daily daily client meetings, but the project will believe in delivering, the team will believe in delivering the project at the end. This is like just a basic introduction. So if you want, you can learn about these project methodologies, or any like different types of Scrum and Kanban examples in Google. But this is what you need to understand to start any project in the software. So this is already we have discussed what Agile believes: individual interactions, customer collaboration, working software, uh, and responding to change. So these are all what are the values of the Agile. So this is again overall picture: plan, create, review, and release. Again, the customer comes in second sprint with new changes, or you want to deliver the second sprint with some part of a project, then again plan, create, review. So like this, it goes on for the Agile. Now we have seen the different methodologies. Then there is a need to learn some of the tools, at least one tool, when it comes to project management. So if you are switching from non-IT to IT and jumping from with 3 years or 4 years of experience, definitely they will expect that you know some of the at least one of the tool where you have more used to maintain a project or assign the user stories or tasks in your previous company. So there are like Jira, Trello, and Monday.com, Zoho are the most common tools preferred by most of the companies nowadays. So whatever I believe is, Trello and Jira are most very important. So if you want, if you can learn Jira, I say you just learn Jira, just basics like how you assign the project team members, how you divide the Jira project into stories or epics or issues. So like that, there are a few terms, concepts. If you want to learn, then you can learn Jira. That will be very easy. Okay. I hope this is clear about the project management.
Yes.
Oh,
So will you Jira and Trello?
sorry?
Will you teach that Jira and Trello?
No. Just this is complete Jira. Again, it takes itself a 1 week or at least 3 classes of time. So will me not this as this course is mainly focusing on platform developer 1 certification and Salesforce. So will not be teaching Jira. If you want, then I can have a short course on any weekend. There are like crash courses on certain development activities like a deployment related and Jira related, Jira related, GitHub related. There are again crash courses which will be of 1 week or 3 weekends of time. So to that course you can enroll.
Okay.
Okay. So I hope everything is clear now when it comes to a project management in the Salesforce or in any software project. Okay. Okay. Let me share another screen.
So shall I click GitHub?
GitHub, github.com login. There will be a sign up option. Just create an account.
Okay. Shall I give my email address or the?
Yeah, you can create your email address. Just I want you to have one GitHub account.
Okay.
Because this is another important tool when it comes to software, which we need to know for sure when we are going to develop a developer role, especially.
Okay. What would this GitHub role? How would this help us in forward?
Yeah, suppose you have a code written in your computer. Okay, the same function or the same code is written by another team member of your company, but you both have you both are working on the same function, which is of 1,000 lines of code. On certain parts he is working, on certain parts you are working. Now what you do is you push your code to the server. As we know, pushing is nothing but like you just imagine that you are deploying your code to the server. Okay, now that same function, that same code or the same file is again pushed by your team member. Now which will be residing on the system, on the server, on the Salesforce the servers, which code will be residing? Is it yours code or your teammates code?
Mm-hmm.
So now there is a need to maintain or to have a uh, management system to maintain the code. Either you deploy or either he push the code, or if someone other push the code, same files, then there should be a comparison, like who changed what, and if you are changing something, is it right or wrong? Because whatever the code you do may not be always right. There might be bugs, there might be mistakes. So who need to see that, and where they need to see that mistakes, and how to compare them? If they feel that your code is not right or not correct, then what they have to do, they have to revert the changes. They have to tell you that here the code is wrong, so please uh, push the please fix this code part and push the code or commit the code again to the server. Then to manage all these things, you need a particular software, right?
Yeah.
So that is GitHub, which is a source code management system, management software. Like Salesforce is a customer relationship management software. GitHub is a source code management software. And whatever you have seen in the Jira is a project management software or issue tracking software.
Okay.
You'll come to know more in tomorrow's class about this GitHub. I'll tell how it functions, and how I told how to commit, how to push, how to revert back the changes, how to compare the changes, what you have developed and what other team members have developed. If something goes wrong, how to tell them, how to comment. So like that, we have different terminologies. So we will be learning in tomorrow's class.
I've just entered my email ID here and created a strong password. And then I also need to create a username.
Yes, username. Username is what like a useful when you log in, not always email.
Okay.
And if you commit any code to my repository, my public repository, then I can see your username only.
Okay, that's visible, right?
Yes.